What up, guys? Annie Tier, Anime Familia, gonna be doing some reading for A Wild Last Boss Appeared, Volume 1, episode. I don't remember what episode I was, but you guys will know once I upload it to YouTube. I know it's been a bit. I'm gonna try my best to get as much done today as this recording, but I can confirm one thing. I'll either finish Volume 1 in this recording or in the next recording. So we're not that far from finishing Volume 1. Okay? I'm gonna do my best to make some of these recordings a bit longer, or at least read a little faster. That way we can get more done. Because I'll be honest, otherwise these are gonna have so many episodes. But anyway, without further ado, I'm just gonna read from where I left off. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so anyway, short story. A wild demon appeared. Huh, interesting title. If children don't stay good, a demon will come to get you. A black-winged demon will come visit all the bad children and carry them off somewhere. Huh. Sounds like a particular one that I know of. It brings along... Sorry, give me 1 second. There we go. It brings along 12 stars and will chase you to the ends of the earth. So, boy, listen well to your papa and your mama. Be a good child. Huh. That was a common tale used to scare children. A simple but loving tale with no twists used to tell children to stay good, or else something scary will turn up for the bad for all the bad ones. Huh. It's kind of like the boogeyman story. Like, it's quite literally the boogeyman story. Like, if you don't behave, you're gonna the boogeyman will come and get you. Something along those lines. Such stories existed everywhere on Earth, and every region had a similar story, each one with its own name and face. Scotland had its boogeyman. There you go, what I say. Portugal had the Sackman. A little sus, but okay. Germany had the Swazzer... What? And Japan had the Mama Hange. Mama Hange. What is that? What the hell is that? I never heard of that legend or mythology. They were terribly effective at scaring children into doing what they were told. Huh. Children with no frame of reference or life experience were incredibly poor and quick to believe. Children started to learn what their parents told them. That was why, for children with no knowledge of the difference between the realistic and the unrealistic, whatever their parents said became the truth. That was why they believed, feared, and obeyed. Here in Misgars, there was no exception, and basically all areas of the world had the Black-Winged Demon fulfill that role. That was all it was. However, the only difference was that the Black-Winged Demon really existed. Yeah, it's Lufus. A little ways away from the trade city of Yilder, or however you say that name, lay a small village. Its name was Ali Village. It was a name after the legend that said that in the past there was a Valkyrie by the name of Ali, who was said to be the agent of the goddess who descended upon this place, but the truth of the legend was unknown. Inside that village, a single boy was running energetically. That boy, who laughed uproariously as he ran, held an alley fruit which was being grown in the village. Said fruit was the village specialty. Oh, sorry about that. Specialty was said to have been brought by the Valkyrie Ali, whom the goddess sent with... Wait, what? Whom the goddess sent with the fruit after taking pity on the people who were dying of drought. It was sweet, full of nutritions, and grew regardless of the season, even slightly barren. Is that even considered a normal fruit? Sounds like some kind of mythical fruit or something. Cause like it grows. It grows regardless of its environment. That's interesting. Okay. Of course there was a limit, and it wouldn't grow in a complete wasteland. Okay, never mind. But the fruit was still easier to grow than most, and it was one of the most popular fruits in Midgars. Wrapped in a green skin, the fruit stored a lot of moisture, and it was much more reliable source of hydrogen than standing water, which could be filled with disease or parasite. So you don't even use regular water, you can just use this as a form of nutrition or hydration. The boy who'd stolen one of those fruits ran with an expression like he wasn't feeling guilty at all. Adults ran after him while yelling, but the agile boy quickly escaped from their pursuit. Fuck! That damn bike spry brat. Bike? Is that how you say? Bike? Damn, that little prankster. He even laid his hands on my goods. Pause. The villagers shouted hatefully, watching the retreating back of a child. The fact that children are so energetic is a sign of peace. So energetic, children are leaving villages' treasures. However, that doesn't excuse pranks. Not to mention stealing fruits that are the village's lifeline. Luckily, he didn't steal enough to cause the village to starve, but it wasn't as if Bike understood that. It was just that since he was a child, he didn't eat that much. Alley fruit was extremely important given to the size of the village. It is line the tables of every family at every meal, and the money earned by selling it to merchants from Yield, again I cannot pronounce that name, went straight into the living expenses of the village. So the fact that Bike hadn't been exiled from the village up until now was a testament to the character of the village's people, but even that had a limit. Huh. So despite his pranks, people never exiled him, or realistically did, like, you know what I mean? Like, they never really, like, resented him or really gave him real punishment. At least in terms of, like, banishment or anything really that severe. Okay. Elan. He's your kid, right? Oh, Elon. Elon Musk. He's your kid, right? You have to discipline him. Sorry. I keep lecturing him at home, but he just doesn't listen. I even told him the story of the black-winged demon to scare him. That only works on the really young ones. At his age, there's no point to it. The man called Elon looked weak-willed, as if he bowed his head over and over to try to appease everyone. It might have been the one who'd taken the most damage from Bike's pranks. Damn. So this is the parents, so... Father, mother? I'm no, it's father. It's father. My bad. Jeez, we're lowering your family share. Got it? What? No! Of course it's happening, idiot. It's your responsibility to pay back everything that Brat steals. Like, you're really hurting your parents here, kid. Or at least one of them. You should really, like, be more conscious of that. But again, he is a kid, so kids don't really understand things. Kids don't really understand how the world works, so like I don't necessarily say he should be excused for his for everything he's caused, but it's kind of hard for him to understand the gravity of what he's doing. Cuz like, you know what they say, kids will be kids, right? The boy Bike was a famous prankster in the village. He'd already cried wolf about monsters coming more than once or twice, and he's only stolen things like this times fruit before as well. He'd thrown bugs into people's houses or flipped girls' skirts who were the same age as him. These were a daily occurrence. Bro, this kid really is a little shit, I'm not gonna lie to you. He low-key kind of reminds me of Naruto, because you know Naruto, right? He used to commit pranks all the time, but he did it for attention. Now, for this kid's situation, I don't, because he has a parent or parents, but I don't know whether he's doing this to get attention or he's kind of pushing his limit because like he feels like he can do whatever he wants because he's never really punished by anyone because they just let him get away. Or Elon, this person Elon, the parent, is basically paying for everything that Bike is doing, which I don't know if Bike actually knows this or he does and he just doesn't care, because if that's the case, again, he really is he's a problem child. He is definitely a problem child if he knows but just doesn't care. Okay. Either he's just causing distress, he likes seeing people distress, or he just got some kind of twisted pleasure from causing people trouble. Honestly, I have no clue. As far as I can tell, he just seems like a problem child. Nothing more than that. As for why he's doing this, I'm assuming we're about to get into that. The reasons was unknown, but at any rate, the pranks that always went slightly over the line continued daily. Some fairy tale meant to scare children had no effect, and the boy Bike grew arrogant, saying nothing like that exists. Well, you can't really fool him then, and you can't really talk him out of it then. He sounds like one of those kids that won't really learn unless something actually happens to them, which it sucks that that's what it's gonna take. But at this rate, I mean, when you're pushed to a corner and your family is suffering and that ain't gonna send the message, then at this point the kid might actually have to learn the hard way on how life really works, which I personally don't like children learning things this way, but I understand that something needs to give at some point. In truth, no matter how many bad things he'd done up until now, no Blackwing demon had ever shown up. That was why he'd realized long ago that it was just a lie told by his parents. However, he was still just a child. He didn't really understand what it meant to cause people trouble. It's just fun to see people panic, so he kept doing it. He never even considered just how much damage his actions were causing and how hard he was making things for his parents. Yeah, he's just an ignorant kid. Honestly, that's all it comes down to. He's just an ignorant child that doesn't know any better. I just gotta say it, that's what it is. Even for a fruit that only thought he had was, there are so many of them, it's fine if I take one, right? Of course there would be no guilt born from that. In fact, he arbitrarily decided that any adults that didn't let him have it were stingy butts. He didn't yet understand the concept of selling it for profit or the concept of saving money. He only figured that the adults were hoarding all the fruit for themselves to eat. That was why he never regretted his pranks up until now. He never thought they were bad, and he never expected to regret them either, as long as those peaceful days continued, at least. What? The boy Bike, who was biting into the fruit as he ran, collided with an adult's leg near the entrance to the village. It happened because he wasn't paying attention to where he was going. He never expected to run into something where he did. The boy looked upwards while his mind was screaming, crap, I'll get... wait a minute. Is it Lufus? I have a feeling I have a feeling it's Lufus. This might actually teach the kid some actual manners now. Caught by the adults and get yelled at. I'm done for. He thought the only thing I'd left to do was to see who'd caught him and hope for leniency. Depending on who it was, if it was the kind and good-humored Uncle Friend, then it would be better than nothing. If it was the angry Uncle Lang, then he'd get a fist to the head. Yo, this kid was about to get a licking. Pause? Question mark? Anyway. Even though he felt no guilt for committing mischief, Bike was scared of punishment. With those selfless thoughts in his head, The boy looked up and found not someone from the village, but an unfamiliar adult. I wonder who it could be. It was a man who looked genuinely drabbed, with filthy spots here and there. He had an unkempt beard and wore armor, but the armor wasn't pretty. In the first place, the colors were all over the place. It was a slapdash set that looked like it's been cobbled together randomly from parts that looked good out of soldiers that belonged to many different countries. For example, his helmet was green, but his pauldrons were red, and his chest plate was blue. And more than anything, he stank. Damn, sounds like a bum. Baths and showers and the like weren't common in this world, and it was normal to go several days without washing oneself. However, this man's stench was different. It was like he stank of iron and oil, and that combined with the unwashed stink of middle-aged man, it became an awful banquet. And along with the man in front, there were 4 others for a total of 5 unknown stinky men blocking the boy's way. Ho! What an energetic little boy. Is he from this village? That deep voice caused the boy to tremble. Are they travelers or soldiers from the capital? No way. The boy was ignorant, but even then, he could somehow tell they weren't travelers or proper soldiers. It was his child's intuition or something like that. At any rate, the boy instinctively understood that these men were bad for the village. You see, all of us are travelers. How about it? Why don't you show us the way to your village? No, don't wanna. Damn, the kid's actually in trouble right now. Holy, I thought it was Lufus, but no, it's a bunch of thugs. It sounds like it's a bunch of thugs. Maybe Lufus, I mean, who knows? Maybe Lufus might come in to save him. We don't know. Well, I don't know, to be honest. Bike turned right around and ran back where he came from. It wasn't as if the boy realized what those men were. If it were an adult instead of Bike, they'd be able to tell instantly that they were bandits. But the boy didn't have that knowledge. He didn't even understand that the armor they were wearing was probably scavenged from dead bodies after a battle. Even so, he was sensitive to danger because he was a child. He could at least understand that men gave off an abnormal air. That was why the boy ran. He ran to find adults from the village. Everyone! Trouble! There's trouble! But no one's gonna take him seriously, right? No one's gonna take him seriously, right? I can already see it coming. Oh? If it isn't Bike, how dare you steal that fruit? You sure have some guts to come back yourself. I won't forgive you for this. I won't forgive you this time. You're getting 10 spankings. Prepare yourself. Now's not the time for that, Uncle. Some weird people came to the village. They're not normal. Even though the boy tried to explain, it was unintentional, and there was no way for an adult to get anything from it. The only thing Lang could get was that someone had come to the village. But in the end, Bike was the one telling him, and Bike had multiple previous offenses. He already lied before, that villagers had come or that monsters had come. At any rate, the villagers had all been tricked more than once, and that was why Lang didn't believe him. He figured that the reason Bike couldn't explain well was because he couldn't come up with a good lie. That's what Lang thought. You won't get out of punishment by lying like that. I got spanked by Grandma in the old days too, when I caused mischief. Children learn what's Sorry, 1 second, guys. Sorry, just have to check something. Ah, I went back. Right, by experiencing pain like this, now go sit there, Bike. Be prepared not to be able to sit down for the rest of the day. Yeah, I kind of saw this coming, to be honest. I kind of saw this was eventually gonna happen. Uh, Uncle Lang blew into his hand to warm it up as he approached Bike, but before he got there, he stopped and his eyes opened wide. Behind Bike, Bike, only a scant 10 odd meters away, were some men approaching him who clearly looked like bandits. Okay, so yeah, now, I mean, it's already too late. They're already here. Now they have to believe him. Bike was telling the truth. Something terrible for the village had happened. Uncle Lang picked up a nearby shovel and hoe before grabbing Bike and throwing the boy behind him. Run, Bike! Go tell everyone what happened. Uncle, hurry up and go. You're in the way. Bike normally thought Uncle Lang was scary, but right now he wasn't. That was because way scarier men than Uncle Lang had come. Bike stood up almost like he bounced off the ground and started running again. Uncle Lang should be fine. He's so big and he can pick up such heavy things. Unfortunately, Bike had never seen anything stronger than Uncle Lang before. That was why he didn't understand that Uncle Lang, who was just a villager, stood no chance against bandits. Right, because he's a villager, while these bandits are always seeing battle or are always on the front lines or fields. He didn't understand that Lang sacrificed himself to let him escape. He would later regret his optimistic and naive thinking that he simply thought Lang would be okay. Mom, it's terrible. Bike opened the door and flew into the wooden house. The house was really spacious for a villager's home in this world, and inside were 5 small tables arranged around the room, as well as a counter at the opposite end of the door. The second floor was an inn for travelers and basically had no customers. Bike's mistake was going straight for his home and relying on his mother. Thinking normally, a person should first find some of the men of the village who could actually fight. The best thing that would have happened after letting his mom know what would be that she would let others know. It would just double the required effort. It was also a clear time loss, given that there was now another step before alerting the men. Oh boy. Things are just going from bad to worse. And again, no one's gonna believe anything this kid Bike has to say, considering his history. Kind of reminds me of a situation. Okay, I'll be honest, this kid kind of reminds me of Usopp. He low-key kind of reminds me of Usopp from One Piece. I'm getting like Usopp vibes here. Now, come on now, Bike, be quiet. There are travelers present right now. Ah, hello. Sorry for intruding. Bike's house was the only inn available for travelers in the village. Normally there was no customers, but a rare turn of luck where there were 2 travelers sitting on the counter right now. One was a pretty girl with sea blue. Oh, this is Luffy and crap, I forgot the other girl's name. Okay, he is gonna see the Black Winged Demon. Covered their whole body in a red cloak and hid their face in a hood. Yep, it's Luffy. Normally, Bike would be all over the travelers out of curiosity, but right now he didn't have time for that. It's terrible, Mom. Some weird guys came to the village. Huh? Are we weird people? Well, we cannot deny it. The true travelers responded to Bike, but he quickly denied what they said. It's not you guys. No, it's true. These travelers are strange, especially that one with the red mantle. But now's not the time for that. No, it's those old guys in dirty armors. Uncle Lang told me to go tell everyone. How many times have I told you to stop it with those lies, Bike? If you don't shape up already, I really will get mad at you. It's true, Mom. Believe me. Even though Bike argued as hard as he could, his mother didn't take him seriously at all. It was the result of him lying so much up until now. It all bounced back at him. Oh boy. Yeah, again, no one's gonna believe him. But I have a feeling a lot of people in this village are gonna die. Something really bad is gonna happen. I can just feel it in my bones. Sorry, one sec, guys. Sorry, guys. My audio's acting weird. Oh, there we go. Guys, for some reason, if you don't hear anything in the background, let me know. But yeah, anyway. Back in it's probably just a lie. He's probably already just pranking us, she thought. Convinced and wouldn't give him the time of day at all, Bike got what he deserved. All of it was just karma. However, even though Bike knew that, he had to keep saying it. Yes, yes. Keep going later, okay? I'm busy right now. Now wait a sec, ma'am. Seeing the other mother not give Bike the time of day, the traveler in the red mantle spoke up surprisingly. Ooh, Lufus had something to say about that. Interesting. But then again, Lufus doesn't know because he just arrived to the village. We do not understand your circumstances, but you should not ignore your child. So when he is so desperate, also, if it is true, then this is an emergency. We will accompany you. Huh? But miss, that's not to worry. Even if he is tricking us, we will not be angry. It will simply be a tale to tell tale over drinks, that we were tricked by a child prank. The traveler slowly got up and the blue-haired girl followed suit. Then the traveler looked down at Bike and quickly asked, "So child, where are those strange men?" This way. This was also a mistake on Bike's part. Just what was he going to try? Bringing only 2 women along with him? Doing what Bike did would just uselessly increase the number of victims. It can only be called a foolish act. They're adults, so they'll do something about this. A thought all children had in their heads. Simply foolish thought that only existed during childhood. Prodded into action, he led the 2 women before a pack of hungry wolves. By the time Bike came back, Uncle Lang was already at death's door. On the other hand, the suspicious men sported no wounds whatsoever and were laughing derisively, I don't know how to say that, as they kicked and stomped on Uncle Lang playing with him. Damn. So yeah, these guys are bandits and they're pretty much raiding the village and attacking Lang as a byproduct of that. Man, things aren't looking too good right now. Things are honestly not looking too good whatsoever. But let's see what happens. By the time Bike came back, Uncle Lang was already at the... Oh, no, I already read my bad. Oh, if it isn't that kid from earlier, so you came back. Nice. Hey, look at that. Women, and pretty good ones, too. A woman, and what the heck is that? A red mantle? What did you think would happen bringing them here, huh? Maybe a strip show? Nah, that's too harsh. Let's kindly strip her ourselves. Damn, dude, these guys are disgusting. The men got excited over the appearance of new toys, and they left Uncle Lang alone to approach the women. Bike started trembling, and the blue-haired girl cried out in fear while hiding behind the red mantle. The only one who wasn't intimidated was the suspicious figure in the red mantle. This is bad, Miss Lufus. If this keeps up, I'll become like Dojin? You can't show that to children. Wait, what? You will be fine, won't you? Probably. How cruel. Come on, save me. But the red mantle remained composed for some reason, and somehow, to the boy, the blue-haired girl also looked composed. Actually, to him, it looked like she was joking around. A seed of doubt may have been implanted in the bandits they might have. Yeah, those bandits are about to get this ass whooping. That's what's about to happen. Wondered just what was going on. However, it was already too late. They were already close to their prey. It took too long to realize they'd waltz right into a predator's jaws. Yeah? But, I wonder... Sit! Just one word. The red mantle simply uttered one word, and that settled everything. The same time she spoke, the surroundings were all inundated with invisible pressure, as if a giant arm were pushing everyone down into the ground. It wasn't as if the red mantle even attacked. She didn't use magic either. She basically she basically force pushed them down. That's essentially what she did. She force pushed them. Which is kind of funny. It wasn't as if the red mantle manipulated when it was just a sense of intimidation, a difference in their existence, an absolute wall that they could never surpass. She just made it really easy to understand, slamming the difference into her opponent's survival instincts, that they must have defy her, that they mustn't define her, they mustn't oppose her, they must bow down instead of stand up. Their instincts, realizing this, ignored her opponent's will and directly moved their bodies, causing them to take a pose of submission. Their brains continually output fear on their own, and they all froze without even being able to understand why. Before the boy even noticed, the men turned into a simple group of sacrifices who could only tremble and shake. Well, it was fine to shut them up, but what do we do with them? Leave that to me, please. I'll just mess with their memories in real quick and have them go home. The blue-haired girl jogged over to the trembling men and peered into each of their eyes one by one. Bike was keeping an eye on the situation even while laying on the ground, and eventually the girl must have finished her work, because the invisible pressure that had been holding them down the entire time disappeared. Feeling the mysterious sensation of his body finally becoming lighter, he looked up to the red mantle at her feet. There were a couple of black feathers that had fallen into the ground, even though there was no birds nearby. Moved by curiosity, the boy pulled aside the mantle to take a look. This was a height of a child's indiscretion. If Bike were an adult, he'd immediately consider what would happen if he angered someone who could do all that and would stop whatever he was going to do. As a result, he saw something even more frightening that should never have laid eyes on. A pair of black wings hidden underneath the mantle. He reflectively screamed before losing power in his legs and falling to the ground. He thought it was just a fairy tale this whole time. He believed the black-winged demon was just a made-up story, but that was wrong. She existed right here, right now. Ah, hey, what a mischievous child. We'd appreciate it if you didn't go around telling people what you just saw. Yeah, sure. As Bike sat there trembling, the men all slowly got up. Even though the boy was scared and surprised, he could tell that the men were acting strange. Their eyes seemed blank. They were drooling, and it was as if they weren't seeing what was right in front of them. Eventually, the men with their eyes that would not focus started barking. Bow! Wow! Wow! Arf! As if they forgot that they were human. They moved around on all. Bro, she turned them into animals. What the hell? Fours and ran off together while barking, their tongue lulled out of their mouths, and the sight of men running like dogs while spreading drool everywhere was incredibly funny as well as scary. The red mantle saw the men off, asked the blue-haired woman exasperatedly, "Hey, Dina, what did you do?" "I overlaid their memories with those of a dog right now. They think they're dogs." Bro, that was evil. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was straight evil. I mean, they were bandits and they probably have done worse to other people in other separate villages. So, I guess in a way they kind of did got what they deserved, but still, that's kind of sick. But like that, they would not notice since their forms are so different. It's fine. When that happens, they'll just assume on their own that they're dogs that became human for some reason. That's just nasty. Bike saw what happened and thought, they've been taken away. They surely got their hearts as humans stolen away by the fearful demon or something. That's why they became like that, no doubt. Well, the whelp here saw our wings, so we cannot stay for long. Let's go, Dina. Huh. I'm surprised are they not gonna wipe out Bike's mind? I feel like they could wipe out his mind, and then that would solve the issue of him knowing all this. But knowing that kid, he's probably now gonna be listening to what the adults tell him. The kid is definitely gonna have a change of heart after all this at the end of the day. I find it funny that not long ago this short story started with him quite literally causing mischief, doing his usual runabouts. And at the end of the day, he realized the story that adults were not intentionally, made up. No, it was intentionally made up, was actually now real. So now he's scared out of his mind. I'm pretty sure after this, the kid is gonna know better. He's not gonna cause trouble. He's actually gonna listen to adults, and I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the kid's low-key traumatized after this. Let's see. Even though I thought we'd finally be able to sleep on a bed instead of a carriage, you're too careless, Miss Lufus. Careless? Bro, we can't stay here. Are you kidding me? If they stay here, they're only gonna draw more attention to themselves. I mean, look what happened to the men. No one in the village knows what happened. But now, because this kid knows who she actually is, it's too much of a risk to stay in this village. Again, it wouldn't be surprised if at some point the kid just spiels because the kid doesn't know how to keep things to himself, let's be real. He's definitely going to tell the village once they leave. Even though I thought, oh no. Sorry, we will transmute something for us to sleep on, so forgive us. Ah, that's no good. We don't have any resources. The two started talking about something as they started walking away. But suddenly, the blue-haired girl turned her eyes to Uncle Lang, and she spread something like particles of light onto him. When she did, the man's wounds healed in an instant. After that, the two of them actually left the village. After a while, Bike's mother came running, but everything was already over. All the women saw was Uncle Lang lying down on the side of the road, and her own child still shocked. Well, Uncle Lang was there, so he probably wouldn't be treated like a liar. No, I don't think anyone's... I think a lot happened in this short little chapter, because this was a side chapter. This was a side story. I think the kid is probably never going to start lying again. And I think, yeah, the kid definitely is going to change after this. Again, if you still want to lie after what you just went through, then clearly this kid's a lost cause. But no, I'm convinced he's learned a life lesson and he's never gonna start pranking again. Or at least not prank to like, so at least he's not gonna be like a huge problem anymore. He probably might still be like a little shit, you know what I mean? But he's not gonna be a problem. Mom, Bike, what's wrong? What happened? The men, they were taken away. What? What you said was true, Mom. Those old guys were bad, so the Blackwing Demon took them away. I'm going to be good from now on. I won't play pranks anymore. Yo, this kid is scarred for life. He said, I'm going to be a good boy now. I'm not going to be causing problems. Because he doesn't want that. I mean, yeah, I mean, technically the tales are true. The Blackwing Demon actually does exist. But holy crap, dude. Kid literally, in a way, you can honestly say this kid really did had like he was punished. Like karma eventually got to him and he was actually punished and is learning a real lifelong lesson. If at the end of the day, you can safely say this kid learned a lifelong lesson. It's funny like how the chapter started to where it is right now. It's actually kind of funny. Unable to understand what her son just said and not knowing what just happened, the woman could only tilt her head in confusion. She didn't know just how much danger the village had been in, as well as how that danger was avoided. However, the black feathered her son was absent-mindedly gripping for dear life, left a deep impression. The children ran through the village. Their faces was plastered with smiles, and they held alley fruits that were pilfered from the adults. In this world, where pastries and confectionaries could only be enjoyed regularly by some nobles and the extremely wealthy, the main form of sweets that children liked were fruits, and Alley Village had an especially large amount of fruit, and it would be the first thing children would say they liked. Of course, the fruit was the village's lifeline, and stealing it was definitely not a good thing. However, children wanted what they wanted, and they wanted to eat what they wanted to eat. Being so true to their desires was definitely a defining quality of children. However, a larger child blocked those children's way, and they were quickly captured. Hey, you can't do that. You shouldn't be stealing alley fruit that the uncles all worked hard to raise. Is that Bike? But big bro, it is Bike, bro. This kid really did change. What the hell? This is kind of wholesome in a way. What the fuck? I actually kind of like this side story. Then you need to properly ask them to give it to you. No, wait. Then you need to ask him to give them to you. Stealing is bad. The one who stopped them was Bike, who was only up until recently an even bigger problem child than they were. It was unclear just what happened, but one day he basically changed into a completely different person overnight. He became much more honest and serious and profusely apologized for all the mischief he'd caused up until then. In fact, he even started acting like a big brother, scolding the other children whenever they did something wrong. And though his parents were extremely happy that their son grew up, they still held some doubts at the sudden change. Like, yeah, I don't believe you, kid. You're still a little shit. Yeah, you're still a little shit. Listen up. You all need to be good. If you aren't, a Blackwing Demon will come and take you away somewhere. Every time Bike scolded the other children, he'd always show them a single black feather. The feather he picked up that day was a precious proof to warn him and make sure that he never forgot what happened. It was solid proof that it wasn't a dream or an illusion. So with one hand, the grown boy stopped the other children who tried to commit the same mistakes he once did. And he spoke a fearsome tale that was definitely no lie or exaggeration. If you don't stay a good child, a demon will come get you. A demon with black wings will come for any bad children and whisk them off somewhere. The demon brings along 12 stars and will chase bad children to the ends of the earth. So boys, listen to your papa and mama and be good. I wish I can see how Bike looked like. Okay, that was it. I think I'm gonna end it here because I feel like, so what I'm gonna name the volume is this. I've noticed, I think we're kind of at the end. I'm assuming we're gonna get more short stories because the next one, it says short stories, a wild dinosaur appeared. I kind of like these short tales. They're kind of, I'm not sure if I'm reading it wrong, but it kind of feels a little wholesome. Low key, it kind of feels a little wholesome. Also, I apologize guys if suddenly the audio just got cut off. My headphones lost battery, so I apologize for that. I can't tell if the volume, if you guys don't hear anything in the background. I can't tell for certain. Only you guys will know. But I apologize. Hopefully you guys still enjoyed the chapter nonetheless. I actually had a lot of fun with this chapter. It was actually, again, it was surprisingly wholesome. It was surprisingly very wholesome. I was completely shocked, like, how much I enjoyed this chapter. Like, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. Learning about Bike, how he started in the beginning, being a mischievous child, stealing alley fruits, and then this whole incident with bandits basically trying to raid their village, and Lufus and Dina coming in to take care of these punks, teaching a little life lesson to the boy. Lufus honestly being around really did cause Bike to better himself as a person. He ended up becoming a big brother to all the other children that would attempt to make the same mistake he would. Again, I'm not sure if it's me, but it comes off as a little wholesome. Again, I could be wrong. Again, maybe not everyone sees it the same, but that's just how I feel personally. Again, I thought it was really interesting short story, and we're gonna get another short story very soon in the next one. I'm probably gonna read it sometime later this week, so look forward to that. But other than that, though, guys, hopefully you enjoy it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Again, I apologize for the audio being cut off. I'll make sure I'll have my headphones charged the next time. Peace. I'll see you guys all later.